Deborah can pull it off.
All right, great. Now let
Awesome.
me just share
Now
my
you're set.
screen again. Okay, everyone can see the first slide?
Yes, I can. And and then Brian,
Okay,
just double
fantastic.
check
All
to
right,
see if
so
there's anyone else that's in yet, okay?
I don't see anybody
Because
now.
they usually take a little while to come in. They usually like the first 30 minutes they start to pop
Okay,
on.
it's just show my main screen.
All
So
right.
if I see them come in, I'll let them in.
Okay, cool,
All right,
great. And then Samantha will remain on to like, like when you're doing like questions and asking questions and stuff too.
sounds good. Fantastic. Thank you.
All right.
All right, I'll get started then. Thanks very much. All right. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Brian Nailers. I'm your Globus family of brands BDM. Let's see if I get to the next. There we go. There's my contact information. If you don't jot it down now, it'll also be on the last slide. But a lot of you probably remember I'm with Globus for almost a year now, but I used to be with ALG Vacations and Travel Impressions for over 18 years. So moving to Globus family of brands, it was a huge culture shock for me. It was definitely a leap of faith when I did it. I used to work with primarily sun and sand and all inclusives. So when it's again, I took a leap of faith to go into escorted touring and river cruises. Some people said you're crazy, but honestly, one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I'll never say a negative word about ALG Vacations. You don't work for a company for 18 years and not love it, but I wanted to change, and this is definitely the change that I needed. Such a fantastic company. And to give you a little background about Globus Family of Brands, if you're not familiar. So, the Globus Family of Brands, or GFOB, is what I'm going to say from now on for the next half hour. Globus and Cosmos, those are our escorted tours, and Avalon Waterways are our river cruise. That's our river cruise brand. Over 740 vacations and itineraries on 6 out of 7 continents, and that's 80 countries and almost 100 years old. So obviously we're doing something right. But you're going to hear me say the term preconceived notions a lot in the next half hour or so, because I had, again, coming from a very different world in the travel industry, I had a lot of preconceived notions about both escorted touring and about river cruising, about the age, about just how everything works. And I have to say, 99.9% of those preconceived notions I threw right out the window. So to give you an idea, again, escorted touring is Globus and Cosmos, and there are big differences between the two. Again, there are a lot of similarities, but you're going to see with the tours that they're a bit different. So Globus tours and Cosmos tours. Cosmos is for the more value-minded. It doesn't mean that it's a cheap escorted tour, but it is for someone a little different, for someone else's a different want that they have. So Globus, you're going to have more inclusions. It doesn't mean that Cosmos is just a cheaper version and you don't get as much included. But for instance, with Cosmos, you may want some more free time to yourself. So it's okay then to not have as many included tours on your escorted tour. Also with Globus in versus Cosmos, you're going to have a lot of your 4 and 5 star hotels in the city center, where in Cosmos, they're going to be more on the outskirts of a destination, which again is for a certain client. Because with Cosmos, you're not in the hustle and bustle of the city center, and that's what some people want. They want to be on the outskirts. They want to find those hidden gems on their own. Okay, so Globus Tours, the hotels may be a star rating better, but again, Cosmos, you may not want that. And I'm going to show you a quick video and finally got this sound to work. So thank you everybody for bearing with me. But this is a great video that you can also share with your clients. And if you want this link, I can send it to you. But it's great. It's a great way to show you the difference between escorted tours versus FIT bookings. But also it's great to show your clients that an escorted tour, it doesn't necessarily mean that your entire schedule is jam-packed. You're going to have some free time, but the tour directors are going to point you in the right direction. And the video is really going to show you better than I can probably even explain it. So I'll press play.
This is the story of two couples vacationing in the same place at the same time.
No. I think it's this way.
Sure?
Yeah, yeah.
Alessandra?
Yes. Hi. You have a good trip?
One chose a
Great.
Globus tour.
Thank you.
Come meet the guy.
The other went on their
Are you
own.
a taxi? I want to rent the car.
Go it alone.
I don't have that. I don't know what app.
What's the name of the app?
And you're on your own.
Our ride is just around the corner.
Are we close?
It's like 4 more blocks.
Go with Globus,
You are already checked in?
and we'll make everything easy.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Alessandro says, have to try the
No
bus.
one's answering. Try pushing the buttons.
Hello? We're here. Hello?
Tour with us, and the world opens up effortlessly.
If you follow me, I will take you inside. It keeps moving. I think we need to keep moving in order for it.
Because there's a big difference between figuring it out and having it all figured
So
out.
guys, when you travel with us, you skip the line. Where are they going?
They're going in.
On a Globus tour, you see more. You do more. You learn more.
He's doing perfecto. Flip it now. Flip it again.
It says to look for a guy in a blue hat.
Blue hat. There are like 10 guys with blue hats.
On a Globus tour, you simply enjoy. With less stress, less worry,
Try over here.
less hassles,
Hello? Well,
and more stories.
so a lot of people miss these when they come here, but these are the wine windows. Wonder what that is.
Alessandro, since we have the rest of the afternoon free, do you have any suggestions?
Well, you know what, guys? There's actually a really nice farmer's market. It's around the corner. Good for lunch. I can show you if you want.
Let's go.
Honey, I don't know where to go.
Can't we find a real person?
Next time, don't just go.
You want me to buy you something? I could maybe.
Go beyond. Tour with Globus.
Again, I love that video. Just that one of those last scenes when he says, "Can I buy you something?" I can't tell you how many times I've had to say it to my wife. Not even on vacation, just when she's mad at me in general. But I'm just joking. But it really is. It's a great way to show you the difference of FIT and escorted touring. I mean, are there certain destinations that you may be better off at FIT? Sure, but you do have the free time with escorted touring. That you know just the tour director, they will point you in the right direction on things that you just don't want to miss. Of course, we have our classic tours. It doesn't mean, though, that they're a cookie cutter tour. Over the years, of course, we've changed them a bit. They've evolved over the last 98 years. But there's so many different ways of touring with Globus and with Cosmos. Escapes, that's the greatest way, frankly, for you as a travel advisor actually to do it on a cheaper way, almost like a fam trip, where it's going to be off peak season. But you're going to get a great deal, over 40% off, independent, exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be more towards like an FIT, but you're going to have an itinerary on Discover. That's when you find the hidden gems. And there's so many other, I won't go through every one of them, but like I said, they're not cookie cutter tours. There are so many different ways of traveling. All right, so I mentioned the preconceived notions term that I always use. Transportation, I had that preconceived notion that they stick you in a bus and they jam pack you like sardines, and it's just not like that at all. It's great that of course you have Wi-Fi and you have TVs. And you have enough room where if you don't really want to talk to anyone, you just kind of want relaxation, you want to recline and relax, you can do that. But you're also close enough to people with, over the week and a half, however long you're gone for, you do make friends on these coach buses. So you are close enough to have conversations with them as well. And the accommodations, I mentioned the Globus versus Cosmos, where Globus, for the most part, you're going to be more in the city center, and Cosmos, you're going to be more on the outskirts of the destination. But we really do pick the right accommodations that speak to the destination that you're in. It's not just a Holiday Inn. No offense to Holiday Inns, but this is really going to scream Venice, or it's going to scream wherever in Greece that you are. And the meals, absolutely delicious. but not only delicious, but you taste the destination. Really, we have handpicked each restaurant that you dine in, and most days, at very least, breakfast and dinner are going to be included. Depends on the tour. But really, the tour directors, even if something's not included, they're going to point you in the right direction. And speaking of the tour directors and also the local guides, so my first Globus experience, I went to Eastern Canada. And when they first sent me on one just to experience what Globus was, I have to say I was hoping for something like Croatia or Greece, somewhere a little bit more exotic than Eastern Canada, since I'm a New Yorker. But I have to say, as a New Yorker, I'm almost ashamed at myself that I've never seen Montreal and Quebec City, the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, Toronto. It was only an hour flight, hour and a few minutes from JFK, and I loved it. But really, the tour director, it was Gladys, and I'll never forget her. I still keep in touch with her on Facebook, but not only one of the sweetest people that I've ever met in my life, but one of the most knowledgeable people. We actually made jokes along the way where we would say, well, what about that sidewalk? Is there a story about that? Because she had a story about everything. And every time we joked about it, eat our shoe because she would have a historical story about it. So it was really great. And like I said, super sweet woman. And anytime you would ask her during free time, can you point me in the right direction? What do I need to see in Quebec City? She would tell you. So they're great. And wrapping up the Globus and Cosmos escorted tour, I just want to show you a quick video. I think it's only about 30 seconds about small group discovery. That's another way to tour, and it's a great new option. And we have about 65 different options with this.
Sometimes you have to go small to go big. Introducing an entirely new type of tour with limited guests and unlimited fun. Globus Small Group Discovery Tours, specifically designed for travelers that crave the intimacy of a small group but want a worldwide experience of epic proportions. And with an average group size of just 15 travelers, there's plenty of room for moments like this, even this. With over 50 all-new tours designed for the in-crowd, with exclusive excursions and special access that can only be achieved with a small group. Throughout Europe, North America, Asia, Africa, South America, and the South Pacific. Like private wine tastings, thrilling safaris, and enchanting estates. Because the size of your travel group counts. So wherever you go, be it the top of the Swiss Alps, the end of the world in Patagonia, the pagodas of Japan, or the preserves of Kenya, it's time to try the world on for size. Globus Small Group Discovery Tours.
So yeah, a great way of traveling. But then we move on to Avalon Waterways. And I hate to say this, and I shouldn't say this as a salesperson, as a business development manager, but honestly, Avalon sells itself. I'm going to show you a quick video about really what differentiates Avalon. But there are a few different things so my preconceived notion that I'll share with you is that river cruising was for the elderly. Okay. And I hate to say that, but my parents, my mother would hate me if she knew I was saying this, but she's 78, my dad's 80. They love river cruising and they love Europe. And I always thought that my preconceived notion was it's for the 70 and 80-year-olds of the world, right? But honestly, it is not. I mean, yes, it still is, but the average age is coming way down. So I'm 44 years old and I went on the Danube just a couple months onto the job, and I was pleasantly surprised that it's not such a niche market. I saw plenty of 30, 40, 50-year-olds. There were even 5 or 6 kids, a little older kid, but still kids, Again, that's not our demographic exactly, children, but they can go on. But I love to see that again, that it's not just the 70 and 80-year-olds of the world, but also for 40, 50, 60-year-olds also. And with Avalon, and I'll talk about it in a little bit, but our Active and Discovery also brings the average age down another 5 years. So, but I'll get to that in just a second. So 79 cruises over 11 rivers, and that's in 24 countries. This is very small writing. This is just, all the ships that we do have on the 11 rivers that we sail on. And now this video, this is the big differentiator. These are our panorama suites. So the vast majority of the sailings that we have are in Europe. We also do sail on the Nile and also the Mekong, so in Africa and in Asia. But the vast majority are going to be in Europe. And in Europe, we have what we call our suite ships. And 80% of the cabins are these panorama suites. So when you're watching this, these aren't just the presidential suites that only a couple people are going to get. 80% of the people on board are going to get these. And it'll say that during a video, but this is a great video. And again, it probably explains it better than I ever could. So I'm going to press play. Yeah, there you go.
The Sweet Ships of Avalon, designed from the ground up, with an attention to detail river cruising has never seen before. There's nothing quite like river cruising, no matter who you cruise with. But there are some pretty big differences between companies, starting with how they look at staterooms. And our one-of-a-kind panorama suite is proof of our innovation, our imagination, and our desire to create a smarter use of space. To give you some perspective of how much better our staterooms are, we're comparing them to the average river cruise cabin. Here's the average window, roughly 7 feet wide, with an opening under 4 feet. Here's our window, nearly 11 feet wide, floor to ceiling, wall to wall. And when it opens, it really opens. Wide enough to let the outside in, because the opening is a full 7 feet, almost twice the size of the others. It's the largest standard window in river cruising. Now let's take a look at the bed of the average cabin. It faces the wall. Not much to look at there. We had a much better idea. What if we angled the wall and turned the bed? That little change gives you the perfect perspective of the amazing views out your window. We then turned our attention to the balcony. Here's the average river cruise balcony. Seems like a nice idea, but as far as we can tell, there's not a lot of room for people to enjoy the views out there. And they had to take space from your stateroom to create that small deck space outside. So here's our better idea. Reclaim that space. Push the window out. Add a spacious dining and seating area for up to 6 adults. Combine it with the largest sliding glass door in the business, and voila! You have an open-air balcony, the only one of its kind in river cruising, and you can enjoy it day and night, no matter the weather. Plus, you'll enjoy a lot more livable space, a full 200 square feet. We gave our room an attention to detail unmatched in the industry. We offer comfort collection beds, plenty of easily accessible storage, and we even added sound dampening insulation in our walls to make it less likely you'll hear your neighbors or they'll hear you. And we didn't stop with the room. We turned that same attention to detail to the bathroom. We took a look at the bathroom of the average ship, and we knew we could do better. By angling the wall, we opened up more space in the bathroom. Then we took our newfound space, and we made it luxurious. We have a large tile shower with glass doors, marble countertops, premium fixtures, L'Occitane bath amenities, and shelves to store all your necessities. And the best part is that there aren't just a couple of these staterooms on our ships, reserved for those who want to pay more. 80% of the staterooms on our suite ships are panorama suites. And once you leave your suite, you're likely to find fewer people on our suite ships. Because with our bigger staterooms, there is less capacity for passengers, which means more space everywhere you go. As you can see, more has gone into the amazing panorama suites, so you can get so much more out of them. Does your river cruise do this? We invite you to compare, and you'll see there's no comparison.
So again, that's probably the biggest differentiator about Avalon Waterways versus other our competitors, basically. And I don't like to name names because I don't want to get I don't need, there's enough business to go around. And I don't like to get too again competitive. But I love the modern look of Avalon as well. So sometimes when you do dock, you have to, because of the size of the docks and everything, you have to tie up to another ship. I actually like doing that because then you get to walk through another ship and just kind of glance around and see what it's all about. And I am so happy that I work for Avalon and it's more of a modern way because there are other, which I won't name the names, but they're very old world Europe, and that's for some people. But to me, the amount of mirrors and they're a little bit gaudy, so it's not for Brian in the slightest. So I do like the more modern look. And again, that's the biggest differentiator, the panorama suites. And there are within that we don't even mention, there are little differences like the different colored towels that we have in the bathroom. It's not that we ran out of a color of a towel, it's because you don't want to share a towel or accidentally share a towel even with your significant other or your best friend or a fellow colleague that you're traveling with. So it's just a way that you can differentiate your towel from someone else's. And these smaller ships, you're going to have a maximum of 156 people on board. So that's if every cabin is taken at double occupancy is going to be 156 people. So I personally am on an ocean cruiser, but I mean that's definitely for a certain client. But when you have thousands of people, it's a little less intimate. So with the lower passenger count and a higher crew attention, it's just going to make for a higher guest satisfaction. All right, so the settings that you crave. The food is fantastic, and I'm going to give you an example. I told you that my parents, they're river cruisers, and they always went on one specific brand. And it was because their travel advisor and one good friend of theirs always booked that specific brand. So they've done it 7, 8, 9 times, right? And I started working with Globus, and my parents said, you know what? Let's try out Avalon. And they FaceTime me from the panorama suite almost every day saying, we just got back from lunch, we just got back from dinner, whatever it is. And they said, wow, the food is the biggest differentiator. Of course, we love our panorama suite, but everything is so fresh. And you can tell that the chef and his culinary staff, I mean, they're really working to please people. And you have so many different options of eating too. A lot of people, my preconceived notions again, I thought you had the dining room, that's it. But you don't. Of course, you have the panorama dining room, which most people do, whether you want to do a buffet for breakfast or you have the a la carte for dinner and all. You can also have a la carte for breakfast. But you have that. You have the Panorama Bistro, which is going to be just upstairs, and it's going to have a lot of the same foods, but more finger foods. So if you just had a large lunch while doing a tour during the day, and you just want a small dinner, you can go up to the Panorama Bistro. We do, depending on the season, of course, we shoot to do the Sky Grill, which is a barbecue up at the top deck. We try to do it twice a sailing, weather pending, of course, and of course, it's seasonal. And then, of course, room service you also get. Now, happy hour, complimentary every day, except for the first day because that's when they go through security measures all. And of course, you don't want to be two martinis deep when you're finding out, just in case of an emergency. What do you do? But it's beer, wine, soda, uh, cocktails. I mean, it's full bar for an hour prior to dinner, and that's every night before dinner. But also keep in mind that you do get complimentary beer and sparkling wine and wine with both lunch and with dinner. So not hard alcohol, but you do get beer and wine. And of course, sprinkling a mimosa for breakfast. I mean, you're on vacation. Why not, right? And again, like I mentioned, Avalon Fresh. It's all about the fresh food. I loved the Danube. Coincidentally, I got off the ship 2 or 3 days with the chef, and he had two of his culinary staff with him. And what they were doing is they were going out into town and they were getting fresh meats, fresh produce, fresh cheeses, and things. And you can taste it because what you have for lunch at there, the different tastes of the destination, you taste it at dinner that night. So I love doing that, getting in conversations with him. It was great. And then after dark. So I say that we can't call ourselves all inclusive because it's not all inclusive, but you really don't get much more inclusive than a river cruise, especially with Avalon Waterways. And now we've also introduced Avalon After Dark. So you're going to get more of the nightlife. And instead of maybe going to bed right after dinner at 8:30, 9 o'clock, because you may be tired after a couple of tours during the day, but if you want to stay out a little bit longer, I always make the joke that, because I come from the all-inclusive world, you may not be shooting tequila shots till 2 a.m., but If you want to stay out till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, they can do karaoke one night. They're going to have a live band. They're going to have, someone from the destination come on as long as you're staying overnight that night at dock. There's so many different things, even things, bingo, things like that. So it's going to just something to keep you out a little bit later, have a couple more cocktails, and then hit the sack for the next day. And I mentioned active and discovery. So already Avalon Waterways is at an average a bit lower age average for travelers. But add in active and discovery, it brings it down another 5 years on average. So your classic tours, again, they're not cookie cutter tours, but they're going to be more of your city tours. And those are going to be on any sailing. The active and discovery, active, exactly what it sounds like. It's great because depending on your destination, you may take a kayak tour out. You may go for a hike up to a castle. You may a bike tour, for instance. And these are available every morning on an active and discovery sailing. The discovery part, that's where it gets more experiential. So yes, classic is going to be your city tours, which are great and you learn a lot. But discovery, that's going to be wine tasting. It's going to be learning how to make pasta, just things like that. So again, how to really experience the destination that you're in. And that's it for Avalon. I mean, it really, again, it speaks for itself. I love that video. If anybody wants the link, please, let me know. I'm going to have a follow-up email tomorrow, and I'll send you a few links like that FIT versus Escorted to that you can share with your clients. But we do pay high commissions, and they're paid early, the highest commissions in the industry. Tools and support to build your business. Of course, you have me as your BDM. I mean, what could be better than that? No, I'm joking. But what's great about having me as your BDM is that you also have a dedicated inside salesperson. If you're signed up through our travel advisor portal, you get my weekly email, and I always copy in Jordan Norris, who is the inside sales rep that you have. And I love her. She's so super knowledgeable, of course, sweet as angel. But really, what's great is when I'm on the road or I'm doing sales calls, I can just forward an email, or if you hadn't already copied her in, and she'll take care of stuff like that. She's great. And then, of course, I mentioned the 741 itineraries and vacations that we have, and they're award-winning, of course. Tools and support, I already went over most of these. Our website, check out the Travel Advisor portal if you haven't already. So many marketing tools at your fingertips, whether you're looking for flyers, ads, the videos that I shared, social media stuff like banners, and again, videos. And if you can't find it, I'll point you in the right direction because it's most likely that it's there and you may have skipped over it. But it's great. Our Knowledge Hub, I do urge you to take GFOB University. Once you do, and if you read my email, I put it at the footer of every weekly email. If you take GFOB University, you are one step closer to taking advantage of Sweet Rewards. Now, Sweet Rewards, SUITE, Sweet Rewards, that basically the criteria is you take GFOB University, and then for only $1,300 a person, since you're a travel advisor, you can take advantage of one of the available, which there are many, sailings on Avalon Waterways. So you can bring a spouse, significant other, a friend, a colleague. And so for $2,600 with two people, not including air, you're experiencing a 7 or 8 night Avalon Waterways cruise, which there's no better way of being able to sell it than by experiencing it first. You'll see online that there is one more piece of criteria that you have to meet, and it's having 2 deposited passengers. Well, our BDM team went to the executive team and said, hold on a second. How do they have 2 deposited passengers if they haven't experienced it yet? It's very difficult to sell if you haven't experienced it. And on a dime, I was shocked. The executive team said, okay, we can waive that. We're going to keep it on the website because, of course, you want some skin, we want you to have some skin in the game, but we can waive that. If we think that you're going to be able to better sell Avalon, us as your BDMs, I'll waive it in a second. So I really do urge you to take advantage of that. If you've never been on a river cruise, it's a great experience. But you'll also, if you've been on a river cruise but never Avalon, you'll notice that it's almost night and day. And it's great to experience it, and you'll be able to tell your clients when they come in and they happen to ask. And I don't want to badmouth Viking in the slightest, but when they come in and say, I want to go on a Viking cruise, now you can knowledgeably say, hold on. Obviously, Viking is great. They're doing something right? But is it that you want to take a Viking cruise, or did you see a commercial? Because you may be a younger demographic. You may want an active and discovery. Have you ever seen our panorama suites? Things like that. So you may be able to really zero in more on a focus on what they want rather than what they think they want. And with that, questions. I'll open it up. I kind of flew through that a little bit, but any questions? And if you think of anything later, I'm going to throw this there. Just so you have my contact information, both my cell phone number and my email address. But if you think of something tomorrow morning or next week, feel free to contact me. But any questions, anybody?
I have a question. Can you hear me, Brian?
Yep, I can hear you.
Sorry, I'm on the train.
No, no worries.
Would you consider for Avalon, would it be Viking would be your closest, I guess, competitor in the river cruising industry?
I would say Emma. So I'll be completely transparent. I like to be. I don't like to be super competitive, but so that's what my parents always did, Emma. And when they tried Avalon, though, they said there are a lot of similarities. Any river cruise that you go on is going to be a lot of similarities. I mean, the ships can only be so big because of the width of the rivers, but it's the little differentiators that we have, like our panorama suites. It's a more modern look. It's going to be a slightly younger demographic. When again, I'm not saying now you got to be selling to 20 and 30-year-olds for honeymoons. No, not necessarily, right? So it's going to be the demographic is a bit older, than an all-inclusive, for instance. But yeah, Emma is definitely our biggest competitor. Vikings are huge. They have hundreds of ships, right? So that's what I love about Globus too. It's family owned, and we want to make it right, and that's what I love about this company too. I'm kind of going off on a tangent, Samantha. I apologize, but coming to Globus, I love that we make things right in case something happens to go wrong. So I get very few complaints driven issues or just negative questions. It's a weird way to word it, but when we do, and it'll be a travel advisor that says, I didn't expect this. And it doesn't mean we're just going to throw money at the problem, but we jump on it right away. And any of you who do know my manager, Susan Gaines, or Archie above her, when I interviewed, it put my mind and my heart at ease when they said, we make things right. If any time we're in the wrong or there's a discrepancy, we'll make it right. So that's what I love about the support that you get to. But sorry, going off on a tangent. Yeah, Emma is probably our closest competitor.
Okay, that's good to know because I've actually sold Amma and I've actually been on Amma too, which is the only river cruising I've ever sold or been on. So it's just good to know that it's basically competitors,
Yeah,
right? It's very
yeah,
similar.
it is, and I would love for you personally to try Sweet Rewards. Really, I mean, it's a steal of a deal. For whether it be you and your husband or whoever it is. I know you as, I mean, you're a younger person in the regular river cruise demographic. You're also an active person. I think you would love it. I really, after my first experience on the Danube, I put on Facebook, and a few people called me like, really, Brian, your new favorite way of traveling? No BS. Honestly, to see the way I put it too is, I mean, I saw 5 countries in 10 days, only had to unpack one time. And honestly, the way you can put your suitcase under your bed and unpack it, you could walk into my panorama suite and not even know somebody was staying there. So yeah, I absolutely loved it. It's a really great way of traveling, and I really do push anybody to, whether you're doing Avalon, do Sweet Rewards, or if you want to experience and score the tour, go with escapes tours, because if you can travel off peak season, it's savings up to 40%, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It doesn't look like there's any more questions. Again, don't be a stranger. If you think of something tomorrow, if you don't want to just, if you're feeding a baby right now or whatever the case may be, if you think of something tomorrow or next week or whenever, you get my weekly email. But here's my contact information. I'd love to chat one-on-one. We could grab coffee or lunch and chat GFOB. I have so many travel advisors that I was friends with, frankly, not just partners, but friends with over the years, selling all inclusives. And so many of them said, I just don't have I don't have the client for instance, a river cruise. I did here on Long Island. I did a consumer show, super easy thing. It was at like a winter wonderland in Wantagh, and we sat at a table and gave out brochures, talked a little bit. And he said at the end, he said, I'm not sure if this is going to bring in sales. I hope so. He got 6 cabins the next day, Panorama Suites on Avalon. And he's like, you know what? Maybe I do have a client. So I'm open to doing consumer shows, whether it be in person or virtual. So reach out to me. Let's set something up. I would love to. So if there are no more
Thank
questions,
you.
I'm going to stop sharing and I'll stop the recording. But again, don't be a stranger, please. All
Okay, I
right,
don't
thanks,
think we
Samantha.
have any more questions, but thank you so much. And I will definitely be doing the training this week. So
Fantastic.
I'll let you know if I have any questions, and we will be posting this on the agent only site as well.
Great, thank you. And yeah, really, the GFOB University, whether you're looking to do sweet rewards or not, it's just a great knowledge tool that we have. It takes in total 2 hours, maybe. But just like most other knowledge platforms, it saves automatically. So there's different modules. You don't have to sit down and do it all in 2 hours on a Friday afternoon. So yeah, definitely urge you to take it. But thank you, Samantha. And thank you, everybody else. I appreciate your time, especially on a Monday evening. But thanks again for having me.
Thank you. Have a good night,
All right, take
everyone.
care. You too. Bye-bye.